entitled as King Puranjana goes to the forest to hunt and his queen becomes angry. So in the yesterday's class, we saw that after being married to Puranjani, Puranjana followed whatever she said. It is said that they spent life for 100 years together in that city of nine gates. So how did they live? That was the subject matter. In day-to-day activities, he simply followed whatever she says. So with the theme, the discussion continues in the upcoming chapters. So in the 26th chapter, the Jiva gives a proper intelligence by the influence of tamas and then regains it. So in daily course of activities, at one point of time, something unusual happened. So what was that? That is being presented in the 26th chapter. It is a small chapter, only one small incident is being explained. And the next chapter talks about the rest of their life. So it's like that. So the first three verses are very interesting. We'll see why they are so interesting, and remaining all are consequent details. So in the first three verses, as we are familiar with Bhagavad Gita, that chariot body analysis that is presented elaborately in this particular three verses. Narada Uvasha Sa ekada maheshwaso ratam panchashvamasugam dvisham vichakram ekaksham trivenum panchabandhuram ekarashmi ekadamanam ekanidam dvikubaram pancha panchapraharanam sapta varudam panchavikramam हैमोपक्षरम् आरुह्य स्वर्णवर्माक्षयेषुभिः एकादशा च मूनाथा पञ्चप्रस्थम् अगाद्वनम्.
The great sage Narada continued, My dear king, once upon a time King Puranjana took up his great bow and equipped with golden armor and quiver of unlimited arrows and accompanied by 11 commanders, he sat on his chariot driven by 5 swift horses and went to the forest named Panchaprastha. He took with him that chariot 2 explosive arrows. The chariot itself was situated on 2 wheels and one revolving axle. On the chariot were 3 flags, one rein, one chariot driver, one sitting place, 2 poles to which the harness was fixed, 5 weapons, and 7 coverings. The chariot moved in 5 different styles, and 5 obstacles lay before it. All the decorations of the chariot were made of gold.
Yeah, kindly pay attention as we discuss all the details. In the Bhagavad Gita also we have same discussion coming at multiple places in the purports given by Srila Prabhupada. But here more details are presented, and what they represent is also discussed in the notes. So the shloka goes like this. Sa ekada maheshwaso panchaprastham agadvanam. One day, the king Puranjana, riding on a chariot, went to the forest which had 5 destinations, panchaprastham. So that is the overall understanding. So in between is the description of the chariot, how he went, with whom he went, etc. etc. Once upon a time, ekada. But out of the 100 years, one day it happened. The king took up his great bow. Sa Maha Ishwaso. Ishwaso means bow. Maheshwaso is great bow. And equipped with golden armor. Swarna Varma. The kings cannot be, kings are always equipped with armor. Whenever they go for battle or forest for hunting, they protect themselves by wearing armor that is made up of gold. And an inexhaustible quiver. Akshaya Ishudi. Even Arjuna also had inexhaustible quiver. When Kandava Prastha episode, when Agnidev comes to hell, ask for help, Krishna and Arjuna, that I want to eat this Kandava fun, please help me. That time Arjuna says that no, we can help you, but this forest is being protected by Indra. and Indra will come all the devatas to save it. If we want to stop the devatas, we need a powerful bow and unlimited arrows. With our normal bow and limited arrows, we cannot fight with the devatas. Then in Agnidev summons Varuna. Then Varuna offers Arjuna a beautiful chariot driven by 4 horses with a flag having an emblem of Hanumanji. And then he also gives the Gandiva bow. He also gives the Akshaya Turi. It is basically called as inexhaustible quiver. Here it is called as Akshaya Ishudi. Ishu means the arrows. Ishudi is like Isha. Ishwaso means bow. Ishu is arrow. Ishudi is like the carrier of the arrows. Akshaya means inexhaustible quiver. Yes, yes. Agni, by the request of Agni, Varuna gives it to Arjuna. So it is like as soon as the arrows are the carrier is emptied, it will again fill automatically. So there is no need to worry about the arrows. Otherwise, if you read Mahabharata, when the warrior is going in fighting, behind him there are so many cartloads of arrows being carried by so many other chariots would be following after him. As soon as the chariot gets emptied, they will fill the chariot with all the different variety of weapons. It is like big management. But in the case of Arjuna, he had Akshaya Turi. So no need to worry about all those things. So in that way. And then accompanied by a commander among 11. So he is basically accompanied by the commander in chief of the 11. He because the Puranjani had 11 commanders, the 11 friends. Out of the 11, he had taken one. And Puranjana sat on a chariot, Ratham Aruhya, which was driven by 5 horses, Pancha Ashwam Asugam. Asu means quickly. Ashutosh. Lord Shiva is called Ashutosh. He is very quickly pleased. So Ashugam means which run very fast. So in that way. And thus he went to the forest. Agad Vanam. Further details of chariot are the gold chariot. The chariot is also made up of gold. The king's armor is also made up of gold. Chariot is also made up of gold. It had 2 shafts. Heima Upaskaram Dvi Isham. There are 2 shafts to the chariot. There are 2 wheels, Vichakram, 1 axle, Ekaksham, 3 flags, 3 Venum. Arjuna's chariot only had 1 flag, but here Puranjana chariot had 3 flags. 5 tapots, Panchabandhuram, 1 rein, Ekarashmi. With 1 rein, the chariot driver is controlling the chariot, horses. 1 chariot driver, Ekadamanam. The controller of the horses is called Ekadamanam. And 1 sitting place, Eka Needam, the place where Puranjana sits. There is only 1 sitting place. So because the chariot is for fighting, so not many people can sit. So in that way. There are 2 poles to which the yoke was fixed, Dvi Kubaram. And 5 weapons, Pancha Praharanam. The Puranjana had 5 weapons and 7 protective coverings, Sapta Varutam. The chariot had 7 protective coverings. The chariot of widespread exploits moved to 5 destinations, Pancha Vikramam. So in order to perform 5 variety of activities, the king Puranjana went to the forest to 5 places. So this was the storyline. So what the story is representing in connection to us, that is explained in the notes. So let us see. So basically, when Puranjana is going to the forest, the beautiful chariot is being described in these 3 verses. So it means, though the Jiva has discrimination and sense of dharma by fate, by the will of the providence, at some time or of other, one fine day, by the arousal of tamas, being covered by ignorance, he loses his discrimination, good sense of understanding, and becomes attached to forbidden objects. One day, the Puranjana or the Jiva, being controlled by tamas, bereft of the proper discrimination, becomes attracted to sinful activities. This is shown by describing the body, which is greedy for enjoyment, as a chariot. So basically, a person who is living a religious life, one day, suddenly, by the will of the providence or by some unknown reason, being attacked by mode of ignorance, becomes attracted to perform sinful activities. So that is the discussion. The king at one time got on the chariot and went to the forest toward the five destinations, which indicate five sense objects. Pancha Prastham, five destinations are indicating of five tanmatras, five sense objects. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. So he wanted to experience these five sense objects. He had a bow. How did the king go to the forest? He had a bow. This indicates his absorption in being the doer and enjoyer. King means he should have the bow or at least talwar. King will be known by his weapon, either holding talwar or holding a mace or holding a bow, etc. Here Puranjana is actually holding the bow. This bow indicates absorption in being the doer and enjoyer. I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. The bow indicates the doership mentality and enjoyership mentality. So in one sense, the bow is ahankara, which is symbolic, which is indicative of I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. And the chariot is driven by five horses. The five horses represent the five knowledge senses which travel quickly. So the five sense objects which are located at five different places, the Panchaprastham, if we want to go there, we can go to the sense objects through the five Jnanendriyas only. It is Jnanendriyas which carry us to the five sense objects. Even somebody playing some instrument on the roadside, but our ear get to hear that. And after hearing that, he said that let us go there, something like that. So it is the five Jnanendriyas take us to the five sense objects. So Jnanendriyas are compared to the five horses, which run very quickly. Though our body goes slow, but the senses go very fast. There are two shafts on the chariot, which represent ego and possessiveness. Dvi Isham. Isha means the controller. There are two controllers. What are the two controllers? Ahankara and possessiveness. Ego and possessiveness. Basically, Aham and Mameti. I and mine. These are the two controllers of the entire chariot. And there are two wheels. Vichakram represents the sinful activities and pious activities. Both go hand in hand. It has one axle, Eka Aksham. The axle connecting both the wheels is only one, which is representative of Pradhana. Axle is the Pradhana. And because Pradhana is the source of all the elements, it is the axle on which the entire chariot depends on. If there is no axle, the chariot cannot stand together. So axle is very important thing in the entire chariot. So in that way. And the chariot has three flags, represent the three gunas, three modes of material nature. And the chariot has five supports, Pancha Bandhuram, which are representative of five life airs. We depend upon the five life airs, Prana, Apana, Samana, Vyana, Udana, which maintain us, which maintain all our activities that we perform. And the chariot had one rein, Eka Rashmi, that is the mind. Mind is the Rashmi, which controls the five horses, which are the five senses. And the chariot had one driver, Eka Damanam, which is the intelligence, which is nothing but Buddhi as well as Chitta, both combined together. There is one seat, Ekanidam, that is the heart, where the passenger sits. There is only one, we said that only one sitting place, that is where the passenger sits, that is the heart. There are two shafts, Dvi Kubaram, for binding the yoke, namely lamentation and illusion. So which bind us to this material world. Lamentation and illusion, basically Shoka and Moha. Ichcha Dvesha Samuttena Dvandva Mohina Bharata. So in that not, it does not come. So Shoka and Moha, which actually bind us in this material world. There are five weapons, the activities of the 5 knowledge senses such as hearing. The king also has 5 weapons which are thrown from the arrow. We said that the 5 knowledge senses are represented by 5 what you can say 5 horses which also run very fast, and the 5 arrows also run very fast. The king may be in the chariot, but he can throw the arrows at a greater speed and they hit the target. Just like the 5 Jnanendriyas, even though we are staying here, our senses can find out a object which is far distant just by looking or by hearing or by smelling. Similarly, the 5 arrows can throw to your far distant where target is there. So in that way. There are 7 protective coverings on the chariot, Sapta Varutam, which represents the 7 dhatus in our body. 7 dhatus were explained in the second canto. Oh, what was that? Charma, Tvak, and Mamsa, Rudira, Mazza, Asti, etc. etc. All these 7 dhatus are there in our body. So like that, the chariot has been presented very nicely, implying different bodily parts within our body. Then further continues, Pancha Vikrama means the widespread exploits the actions of the 5 action senses. So the king is a warrior, so he performs 5 different important activities. They are corresponding to the 5 activities of the 5 karmendriyas. And the entire chariot is covered in gold. Haima upaskaram. It means the another meaning of this is the jiva has many material coverings as one puts on clothing to keep warm in the winter. This is another meaning of Haima. Basically, we wear so many clothes. In addition to the 7 coverings, the 7 dhatus, upon that we also wear so many clothes. So they are referring to the cover in gold. So in that way. The golden armor is the protection of Rajoguna. The king is covered by the golden armor that is representative of Rajoguna. Here the king is not the body but the soul. The soul is covered by mode of passion. That's why he's going to the forest to hunt. And Jiva, being impelled by passion and ignorance, goes out for sense gratification. So in that way. The inexhaustible quiver means infinite desires. The arrows are like the Jnanendriyas, the activities of the Jnanendriyas. When we throw the arrow, that means the Jnanendriyas are going to attain the sense objects. But how many times they can go? They can go unlimited times. There is no end to the desires. So in that way. That is indicative of Akshayaturi. He has 11 commanders. Ekadasha Chamunata means 10 senses and the mind. The 11th commander is mind. The mind is called the reins because of its desires or impressions. So the mind is basically which control the 5 horses. So the mind tells in which direction the horses should go, which sense object they should attain. That is governed by the mind. But it is called commander because of its power to make decisions. The mind is also called as rein because it directs the horses to go in a particular direction, and mind is also called as commander in chief because of the power to make decisions. It is mind which decides where to go, how to go, etc. So in that way. And finally, he went to a place called Panchaprastha, which means articles containing the 5 sense objects. Prastha means a plateau or plain. So where did the king go? The king went to a place where the 5 sense objects are available, whether one place or 5 places. Wherever the sense objects are there, that is where the chariot was driven. So in that way. So this is the description of the chariot and the description of our human body with all minute details.
Puranjana was already, when he fell for Puranjani, he was already in that part. So what is so special about this one day? What has been taught?
No. The Puranjana and Puranjani's marriage life is dharmic marriage life. It is completely dharmic. It is completely religious. It was in the mode of passion and goodness, but now he has taken shelter of mode of ignorance. Passion and ignorance. He is passionate because he wanted to do some exploits, that he wanted to hunt. But he is also ignorant that he is going to do some sinful activities.
Why there are wheels? Like generally we see there are four wheels now of the chariot. So because it is an allegorical story, that is only two wheels.
No. Most of the chariots only have two wheels. If the chariot is big, they will have four wheels.
अच्छा आगे horse रहते हैं और पीछे दो
Ah,
wheels रहते हैं.
yes. Generally two wheels only. Some special chariots might be having four wheels, like we see in the Mahabharata serial, etc.
All these stories like Puranjana and Puranjani, earlier we saw that Puranjani is the intelligence.
Ah,
And here now it is mentioned that the driver of his Ratha was intelligence, na? Like we saw that.
yeah. But driver is the intelligence. But she is not Puranjana now.
हाँ वही वो intelligence is represented in this.
We will understand what is the meaning. It will come in the next verses. So, see, Puranjani was his religious wife. Okay, she was guiding him till now. Now he is going to the forest with an intention to kill the animals. So now the driver is not Puranjani, but some other lady. So in that way. The Shruti says that the wise say that the Atma is the passenger. So I have added different verses that we came across about the chariot body analogy here in the couple of shlokas added. So this is from Kata Upanishad. It is said that Atmanam Ratinam Viddi Shariram Ratam Evacha Buddhim tu Saratim Viddi Mana Pragraham Evacha Indriyani Aham Ahur Vishayam Teshu Gocharan Atmendriya Mano Yukto Bhokteti Ahur Manishina. It is said that the Shruti Kata Upanishad says that the wise say that Manishina will speak that Atma is the passenger, Atmanam Ratinam. Body is the chariot, Shariram Ratam. Intelligence is the driver, Buddhim tu Saratim. So Buddhi is used in Sanskrit. Buddhi, when you translate it to English, generally we say intelligence. But Buddhi is also used to indicate Chitta also. So wherever the word Buddhi comes, it is both intelligence as well as Chitta. We cannot directly say only intelligence. It is indicative of both. So then mind is the reins. Mana pra graham evacha. Senses are the horses. Indriyani ayarahur. Sense objects are the pasturing grounds. Vishayam teshu gocharan. And enjoyer is the Atma, connected with the senses and mind. Atma indriya mano yukto bhokta iti ahur manishina. So Atma, indriya yukta and mana yukta is the bhokta. The soul is the enjoyer in the company of the mind and 10 senses. So this is one chariot ball analogy which comes in the Kata Upanishad. And there is another, so here we see that Arjuna also talks about the mind in the Bhagavad Gita. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramadi balavadrudam tasyaham nigraham manne vayo riva sudushkaram. The mind is fickle, agitating, strong and firm. I think it is more difficult to control than the wind. So when Arjuna is telling that the mind is difficult to control, and more than that, mind itself is controlling the senses. When mind and senses come together, it becomes double difficult to control the 11 commanders. Mind and 10 senses. Mind is said to be the mind is the chief and others are the followers. So in that way. So when mind itself is difficult to control, then mind is associated with 10 more commanders. So it is very difficult to control the 11. But Lord Krishna says that, but Arjuna, it is possible to control the mind by the discriminating intellect according to the scriptures. So there, Asamshayam Mahabhago, So he says that Abhyasam tu kaunteya vairagyanata guruyati. Yes, Arjuna, it is difficult to control the mind, but still by regular practice, determined practice, one can control the mind. How? By the process of discriminating intellect.
So discriminating intellect is the spiritual intellect. What we were discussing yesterday.
No, both intelligence has discrimination in relation to matter. Chitta also has discrimination in relation to spirit.
So discrimination is the quality of
Quality.
the chitta as well as
As well as the intelligence in that way. So with properly employing the discriminating intellect, one can control the mind. See, but the gradation is there are 5 jnanendriyas where immediate boss is intelligence and uska super boss is mind. So in order to control mind, one need to take shelter of the chitta. So many times we always read that the driver is intelligence who controls the mind, but intelligence is not superior to mind. Intelligence is superior to jnanendriyas and mind is superior to the intelligence. Mind is actually, we mentioned previously that the 5 jnanendriyas always exist along with the intelligence and 5 karmendriyas always exist along with the karma. Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti.
Bhagavad Gita also mentioned.
No, it is in the Bhagavad Gita only. Prabhupada mentions every time that driver is the intelligence. But in the Bhagavatam, we discussed from second canto onwards, the 5 jnanendriyas, whatever information they collect, that will be analyzed by intelligence. Intelligence will tell what is what. And the experience with the acquirement of those 5 sense objects is stored by the mind. So mind is the superior to intelligence. And the same mind gives order to the 5 pranas, do this activity, do that activity. And the 5 pranas employ the 5 karmendriyas to do any activity. So there are 5 jnanendriyas, 5 karmendriyas, and just above jnanendriyas we have intelligence, just above karmendriyas we have prana, and above these two there is mind. And mind gets experience through this and places orders to karmendriyas.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
One second, Mataji.
Intelligence will never be able to control mind because mind is always superior than how.
Yes. So discriminating intelligence indicates chitta. It is taking the help of chitta, both chitta and intelligence coming together can give proper understanding to mind. Intelligence alone cannot control the mind. It need to take the help of chitta. That's why from the beginning of the story, I was mentioning that Puranjani is the indicator of both chitta as well as buddhi. She is not just intelligence. We need to combine both activities. So in that way. Yes, Mataji, you are saying something?
Prabhuji, first time I'm
Hmm.
hearing mind, I don't know. But I always thought that mind was higher, intelligence was higher than mind. But then
So-
I don't know, from Bhagavad Gita, I think 3.333 mein aata hai na?
Indriyani paranyahur indriyabhya paramana manasastu para buddhi.
Yeah.
So buddhi means chetana.
Okay.
See, I'll tell you. I mean, just now I mentioned, whatever raw information that we collect through our 5 jnanendriyas, it is analyzed by intelligence.
Okay.
Our buddhi, okay, our intelligence, and intelligence will tell what is what.
Okay.
So when we eat something, some food stuff, for example, currently we know everything. So we close our eyes and we see in the plate. When we touch, we see rice grains. By the touch, we can understand how the rice grain look like. Not look how they feel like. But when we put in the mouth, we see that it is not a plain rice, but it is
Sambar rice.
masala rice.
Yeah.
There we need the help of the taste also.
Yeah.
So there is some raw information transferred through the touch sensation, some raw information transferred through the tongue, taste information. But it is analyzed by intelligence. Intelligence will analyze and tell, okay, it is a masala rice and Also, their touch sensation will give whether it is warmth or cold.
Hmm.
If it is cold, intelligence will tell that, okay, this rice has been prepared in the morning and it is served in the afternoon, so it has become cold. Or it is kept in the fridge for 2 hours, that's why it is becoming chilling cold.
Okay. Okay.
So that analysis will be done by intelligence.
Okay.
So intelligence is sitting next to the senses.
Hmm.
And whatever experience we have, so whether it is good or bad or whatever, that is stored by the mind.
Yeah.
And the same mind will give order to the prana. I want more. Then prana will tell the legs, get up and walk. Then the person goes to the table and take. The hands will extend and take more the food item and come back and sit. Again the hands and mouth as is employed to taste the food stuff. So in that way, the karma indriyas under the supervision of 10 pranas, which are given orders by the mind. And ultimately, where from mind is getting the orders? Mind is getting orders from the ego. Ego says, I am the enjoyer. Give me enjoyment.
Whether to do that, mind may say, okay, eat this rice or get it more or whatever. But whether it is right to do, मेरे पेट के लिए ठीक है कि नहीं है इतना खाना या अच्छा है कि नहीं और लोगों के लिए भी चाहिए whatever. So that discrimination and decision finally, okay, I will eat or I will not eat. That is a function of intelligence.
Yeah, intelligence already analyzed, na? When we are
taking
taking the example of a good case study. When it is good, mind says take more. When it is bad, when it is not good for our health, the intelligence says, it's bad. This is not good. I mean, don't take it.
So still it will.
Then mind will not give order to take it. Mind will say enough. Don't take more. Don't take once again. Otherwise, don't eat. The mind will say them immediately. After having one morsel, the intelligence analyzes and tells, hey, this is stale food. It has been prepared yesterday. It is served today. It is stale food. Then the mind says that is not, don't take more. So you leave it on one corner of the plate and throw it in the dustbin. And before the mind could say that, ego says that I am not enjoying with this. Don't give me this third class food. Give me first class food. So all these people are working in coordination. No, it's not. No need to erase. But only one thing. But Chetana is superior to mind. And superior to mind and ego.
Chetana is same.
The driver, generally we always take as intelligence only. But in Sanskrit is buddhi. Buddhi means Chetana also. So now you tell me. Without Chetana, just by having intelligence, can we function?
No, dead person doesn't function.
So it is Chetana which is actually driving us. Even though a mentally retarded person who can't understand what is what, he has no proper discrimination. Mentally retarded person, he is still intact. He has the body, he has the eyes, everything is there, but he cannot understand what is what because his intellectual ability is not proper. It is intelligence which discriminates what is what. When that is not there, he cannot function proper, but he is still alive. Chetana is still alive. Chetana can drive him. So in that way.
Chetana and Chitta are same.
Both are same. Chetana, Chitta, consciousness, all are same only. So the discriminating intellect is the indicative of Chitta or Chetana. So with the help of Buddhi, the mind and ego can be controlled. So in that way, the soul is the passenger and the body is the chariot. Kata Upanishad also says same thing. Ahu shariram ratam indriyani hayam abhishun mana indriyesham vartmani matra dishanam cha sutam satvam bruhad bandhuram isharishtam. So basically, Kata Upanishad says that the jnanis say that the body is a chariot. Ahu shariram ratam. The body is the chariot. The senses are the horses. Indriyani ayam. The mind The master of the senses is the reins. Abhi ishun mana indriyesham. Abhi ishun means the rope or the reins with which the horses are controlled is the mind, who is the master of the senses. Indriya isham. The objects of the senses are the destinations. Vartmani matra. Matra means tanmatra. The 5 tanmatras are Vartmani, the destination. Vartma means we say na Pata Pradaksha Guru. Vartma is actually the path, direction. So in that way. Dishanamsha Sutam. So intelligence is the chariot driver. And consciousness, Sattvam Bruhat Bandhuram Isha Sushtam. And consciousness which spreads throughout the body, made by the Lord, is the seat of the charioteer. In the previous 3 verses of Bhagavatam, we said that there was only one seat, which is for the Puranjana, that is the heart. Here in this Upanishad verse, it says that there is one seat for the charioteer. The seat is Chitta, the charioteer is intelligence. The charioteer cannot sit alone, cannot sit in the air. You need to have a sitting place. The sitting place is Chitta. That means both the seat and charioteer together should be taken as one. So they cannot be taken separately. So like that we should see. So here this Kata Upanishad says that the seat is Chitta and the driver is intellect. So both are in one sense one only. One in the sense both combine together perform the duty of controlling the chariot. So in that way. The mind is the master of the senses. It is called the reins. The sense objects are the paths, the places for the senses to go. The chitta is called large, bruhat, because it pervades the entire body. It is the seat for the charioteer. Without chitta, the body becomes incoherent. Without consciousness, the body cannot stay together. The body becomes incoherent. The creator of the seat and other objects is the Supreme Lord. Incoherent means unorganized. Unorganized.
Not the word meaning I'm saying. It is what we are trying to understand. Without chitta, means if the consciousness is not there, body is dead, na?
As good as dead, yes. So these are different places in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. We come across these different verses which have the chariot body analogy. So in that way, even this verse actually comes in Bhagavatam only, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15, text number 41. This is from Bhagavatam 7th Canto itself. At some other place it has come. So through all these verses, we see that, I mean, our entire body is further dissected into different divisions, subdivisions, which are compared to different parts in the chariot. Traditionally, people have experience of chariot. So when these things are mentioned, they can relate to it, because we don't have so much experience of chariot. For us to relate with the chariot is very difficult. We may say, okay, horses are there and reins are there, driver is there. Then what about this Dvi issue, Panchakubaram, Ekaksham? What are these things? Because we don't have much, what we can say, day-to-day experience with them. So sometimes seems to be difficult. So in that way. So we'll continue with the 4th verse. Any questions from any devotees?
Yes. Yes, Prabhuji. Even now I can't. You say the mind is the reins, right? And the reins are controlled by the intelligence, right?
See, the reins are both mind and ego.
Mind
and the
ego.
driver mind and ego,
Hmm.
we should take them together. And the
Hmm.
driver along with the seat or
Hmm.
driver alone is
Hmm.
both intelligence as well as chitta. So it's like that.
Because I'm sorry, this is the first time I'm hearing that mind is higher than intelligence. Because always, because even in Bhagavad Gita, somewhere Prabhupada says the intelligence is the next door to the soul or something like that. That also comes.
Not somewhere,
Next,
everywhere Prabhupada says
yeah,
intelligence
next
only.
door,
The
yeah, next door.
Buddhi is translated as intelligence only. That's why in
Okay.
the beginning of our Puranjana discussion, I quoted one verse from Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter 6. There, the Bhagavatam only uses 23 elements.
Okay. Yeah.
That Mahatattva and Buddhi are combined together and used as a Buddhi.
Hmm.
That means in the Bhagavatam, the Chitta
Hmm.
and Buddhi both are used as one entity only. It is called as Buddhi only. In Bhagavad Gita also many times we have this dual compound.
Yeah,
Jnana
it is there.
Vijnana
Yeah,
Chapyanne.
yeah, correct. Yeah.
Jnana means intelligence, Vijnana means Chitta. Simple.
Okay. Okay.
Both have Prabhupada translated as knowledge and realized knowledge,
Huh.
or theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge, like that he says. But
Mm-hmm.
Jnana is about the matter. Dravya
Hmm.
Spurana Vijnanam.
Mm-hmm.
Jnana is about, it reveals the matter, made up
Hmm.
of Pancha Mahabhutas.
Hmm.
Vijnana reveals the spirit, which reveals Paramatma, Atma, and
Hmm.
Kala and Prakriti. Out of the
Mm-hmm.
five things, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma are there.
Hmm.
Except Karma, other four are revealed by Chitta,
Hmm.
and Karma is revealed by Karma that is performed with the body is revealed by intelligence. So it is like that. That's how we have to see. Jnana is in relation to the matter, Vijnana is in relation to spirit. That is the clear cut
Yeah.
distinction. Jnana means intelligence, Vijnana means Chetana.
Mm-hmm. No, I was talking from mind and intelligence. Always we have assumed that intelligence is higher than mind because even in that ending, because of Shastric intelligence, we can strengthen the intelligence. Studying scriptures, we can strengthen the intelligence and thereby control the mind. It
The
comes.
Shastric intelligence is Chetana. The
Okay.
Shastric intelligence which will give us the awareness of the Atma and Paramatma. That is actually the function of Chetana.
So the third chapter, last verse or something like that, which is the, um,
Yes, we
Yesha,
discussed yesterday
yeah.
in the beginning of the class, in the last class also about that verse.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So Prabhupada translates Buddhi always as intelligence only, but we should also write in the bracket intelligence within the bracket Chetana.
Mm-hmm.
So it is indicative of both the terms, both the things.
Okay. Okay, bro.
Hare Krishna. Chachara mrugayam tatra drupta ateshu karmukha vihaya jayam atadharaham mrugav vyasana lalasa.
It was almost impossible for King Puranjana to give up the company of his queen even for a moment. Nonetheless, on that day, being very much inspired by the desire to hunt, he took up his bow and arrow with great pride and went to the forest, not caring for his wife.
So now we get understanding what exactly happened. The previous one is only background story. Now the storyline is continued. Fond of hunting. Mruga Vyasana Lalasa. Mruga Vyasana is basically fond of hunting. Mruga is animal. Giving up his wife, Puranjani. Atma Jaya Sutagara Jaya means wife. Giving up his wife Puranjani, who was difficult to give up because he himself married her out of his affection and out of his surrender. Full of pride, he took his bow. Bow indicates that I'm the enjoyer. I can do whatever I want with that kind of attitude. Taking up the bow and arrow and went to hunt in the forest. He went to the forest to hunt. Hunting means the sin of going out to find another woman. Puranjana going to hunt, giving up his wife Puranjana in Adapura means leaving the wife behind and going after another woman. So like that. His arrows are attachment and repulsion, etc. Icha Dvesha. His bow is absorption and enjoyment. I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. His wife is intelligence, buddhi or chitta, and or chitta, possessing the qualities of dharma. So Puranjani is dharmic intelligence, endowed with mode of passion and mode of goodness. Of course, the mode of passion and goodness indicates enjoy, but in a dharmic way. Dharma aviruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatashtrapa. So in that way. But now what the king is doing? Giving up the dharmic wife. He is going to spend time with adharmic wife. So that is understanding. Asurim vrutti mashritya.
But like for the king, having many wives or going to other women is not considered that other, but you know, like
Other also, but religious. But religious.
I mean, they should properly marry them and
Yes, yes. Every marriage that king performs is a religious marriage. According to religious code of conduct only it does.
okay, so without marriage, if we go, that is hunting.
Asurim vritti mashritya goratmaniranuggraha naya nayahananan nyahanan nishiter baner vineshu vanagocharan.
At that time, King Puranjana was very much influenced by demonic propensities. Because of this, his heart became very hard and merciless, and with sharp arrows he killed many innocent animals in the forest, taking no consideration.
So in the previous purport, Prabhupada indicates 2 points. When a person becomes proud of one's religiosity, person makes mistake. When a person becomes proud that I am so religious, out of that pride, that person goes to perform some sinful activities. So that is a dangerous proposition. That's why it is mentioned here, full of pride, drutta. That is what made him become sinful. And in that, out of pride, he went to forest to kill the animals, which is actually forbidden for human beings, which Prabhupada writes. I mean, of course, later on he also speaks about that. So now, killing the animals is Asura Vrutti. This is the Asura Vrutti that is mentioned in the current verse. Taking shelter of the demoniac tendencies, Daiva Asura Sampat Vipaga Yoga, as we study in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 16. So like that. Taking the shelter of demonic tendencies with vicious heart, Goratma, without compassion, Nir Anugraha. He killed wild animals with his sharp arrows. He went to the forest and killed so many wild animals without any compassion upon them. So one may say kings are allowed to hunt. What is the problem? What is the problem in killing the wild animals? But let us see what is the understanding. It comes in the upcoming verses. He began sinful activities, including violence, using his arrows of attachment and repulsion. Where attachment is there, one performs over performs activities. Where repulsion is there, one takes revenge, causing harm to others. So something like that we can take in our normal day-to-day life.
How it should be understood, like means first of all, in yesterday's verse, we saw that बीन ने जो भी किया उसने वैसे किया, बिल्कुल उसको फॉलो कर रहा था whatever Queen was doing. So after that, when did like means after initial days of marriage, that attraction went down and then he engaged in sinful activities?
No, not like that. When doing everything proper, one becomes proud. I'm doing everything nice. I'm doing everything religiously.
No, that
No
is
one
at
can
one
question me.
level, but he was so much involved with the wife that whatever she did, exactly he was following whatever will give her pleasure. So when that did that break, and you know, and
One day, that's why it said Ekada. Ekada means one day. In due course of time later on, someday it happened.
okay, and how like in this allegory, how we should understand that he killed many animals means he involved himself with many women like that.
We'll see. The explanation comes in the upcoming verses. तीर्थेषु प्रतिदृष्टेषु Raja medyan pashum vane yavadartam alam lubdo hanyat iti niyamyate.
If a king is too attracted to eating flesh, he may, according to the directions of the revealed scriptures on sacrificial performances, to the forest and kill some animals that are recommended for killing. One is not allowed to kill animals unnecessarily or without restrictions. The Vedas regulate animal killing to stop the extravagance of foolish men influenced by the modes of passion and impulse.
So for your question, we see that hunting is a recreation activity for the kings. Okay. When the recreation can be called as a religious recreation, when it called as irreligious recreation.
According to the
I'm asking you.
when it will be done according to the scriptural injunction, that is the religious thing. And when it will not be according to that, it will be irreligious.
That is understanding. He's going for hunting. That is a recreation activity. But if he does hunting according to religious scriptures, that is dharmic activity. If he does against the religious scriptures, it becomes irreligion. So that is what it is happening here. When one goes to hunting with the intention of training, it remains as a dharmic activity. But here the king is going out of pride. I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I can do. So that pride takes one out of the border. So now the question one may ask, a king can do hunting, what is the problem? What is the harm? Why are you putting so many limitations? But Shastra itself puts limitations in hunting. So what are the limitations in hunting? Let us see. A king who is greedy for meat, Lubda, king greedy for eating meat, may kill animals which are suitable for sacrifice. One simple understanding. Even though if some Kshatriyas are allowed to eat meat, generally they are not allowed. Even though some people are greedy for eating meat, they cannot eat meat just like that. They need to go to forest. They have to hunt animals. Only those animals which can be offered in the sacrifice. After performing the sacrifice prasad they should accept.
When he has already killed, फिर क्या sacrifice में offer करें?
हाँ, कर सकते हैं.
The animal is already killed by hunting. So
You mean to say as offering sacrifice means cutting the throat in the next to yajna? That is what we see in the movie. So not like that. It's like offering boga to the deities means do we offer vegetables as it is? We prepare items, then offer the boga. So like that.
They go for hunting, they kill the animal, then they perform yajna, means according to the religious
Yes, they perform it. Even the hunting means not killing. Hunting is only injuring. By hunting, you don't kill the animal completely. You only injure the animal so that the animal cannot run away. The injured animals cannot run away.
तो और भी ज्यादा सिंफुल है ना, डेंजरस. मर गया तो एक साथ मर गया, अभी तो वो कितना पेन में रहेगा, and then you kill.
Okay, so many things are there, but you see both the possibilities. A injured animal cannot run, so immediately it's collected and it is offered in the sacrifice. It is given.
But means, what my knowledge is very limited, Prabhuji, but whenever I have never heard that king going for hunting with a team of priests and something who will perform sacrifice when he will hunt karke. First time I'm listening.
See, offering hunted animal is not like the normal yajna where priests are involved. May not be like that. Even without priests also they can chant some mantra and offer it to the something like that. Not namesake. It is a bona fide thing because we never saw, never heard about all these things so much. But it's actually a process. It is mentioned in the Mahabharata also. Mahabharata, Ramayana also it is clearly mentioned that when there was no food to eat in the forest, the Kshatriyas are allowed to eat meat for their survival. What kind of meat? Only some specific animals which they hunt on their own, which is very difficult to hunt them. I will also mention the names. They are coming the further shlokas. What kind of animals can be hunted? Because that hunting of those animals itself is a painstaking exercise. So when one works hard, there should be some reward. So For one survival, one is working hard, the reward is in the form of prasad. That is not sinful. That eating meat is not sinful.
Others, somewhere also it is mentioned in the scriptures only that those who are attached to meat eating, they should kill the animal only on the Amavasya night.
That
and
is for
not to the-
other than the kings.
Means
The kings,
Vaishyas and all.
the kings can hunt.
Okay, so for
Others cannot
Kshatriyas,
do.
these are the rules, and
For
Vaishyas,
others, they can do that. So in that way. A king greedy for meat may kill animals which are suitable for sacrifice. For special Shraddha rites only, not any day and every day. That Amavasya thing we can also apply here. Not whenever they want. And special Shraddha rites only. Only in the forest, not in the city. And only as much as necessary, not unlimitedly. Okay? And not more, once in a while. Not every day continuously. This is how hunting is regulated in the scripture. Let us see the meaning of this verse.
tigers and all, they don't hunt daily, na Prabhu? Once in 4-5 days.
The same thing here, kings are also not allowed to hunt every day. They can only go on Amavasya day and hunt, something like that. But the king was allowed to hunt according to scriptures. And from the scriptural point of view, because the Jiva is an enjoyer, he should enjoy the sense objects. Why criticize him? The kings are allowed to hunt and Jiva is allowed to enjoy. Why to criticize them? They should do whatever they can do. Why are you are putting so many rules and regulations? No meeting, no disintoxication, no gambling, etc. etc. 3 verses answer 6, 7, 8. Kindly pay attention. The meaning is this: hunting is not allowed simply because one is passionate. Just because a person want to hunt, he can do hunting. Not like that. It is restricted. The tendency is limited. 6 rules are given. Hunting should accompany these 6 rules that are mentioned in this verse. What are the 6 rules? If king is very much attached to eating meat, then he can hunt. Only when he is very much attached to eat meat, he can hunt. But it should be for Shraddha rites and special occasions, not daily Shraddha rites. Even though if the king is wanted to eat meat, is so much inclined to eat meat, but he cannot go on hunting for every day. He need to wait for Amavasya day, where Shraddha rites can be performed.
Shraddha rites means giving to Pitrus, na?
Pitrus.
So for giving to Pitrus, he should hunt. That is the meaning.
If he want to eat meat,
Matlab, but he should first offer to Pitrus also. And
then he can eat. Then he can eat. So in that way, if at all one want to eat meat, they have to wait till Amavasya. And the Amavasya day, he should go to forest. Not on daily Shraddha rites. Daily also there could be some Shraddha rites. The till and what is offered to Yudhishthira Maharaj performs daily Shraddha rites every day he would do.
This is for the karmis, na? What are this?
No, this is for the Nishkama Karma, Sakama Karma Yogis and Nishkama Karma Yogis. These are all duties for those who are following Varnashrama Dharmas.
Because it is said na, that generally we say that when we offer to the Pitrus, Krishna Prasad should be offered.
Because we are Vaishnavas.
But there are people I know that on specially बाकी के दिन खाए नहीं खाए but वो पितरों को ऑफर करने के लिए बनाएंगे specially and it is offered like that. So that is for the still they are considered sakam karma. From the
Varnashrama system, the normal Karma Yoga practitioners, they offer only once in a season to Lord Vishnu. The difference between the Karma Yoga practicing devotees is devotees offer every day, every meal. The Karma Yogis offer only once in a season. When you purchase a bag of rice, harvest whatever rice come home, you offer the first meal. It means everything is offered. And whenever the Shraddha rites come, they directly offer to the Pitrus. But since we have a practice of offering every day to every meal to the Lord, we offer first to Lord and then offer to the Pitrus. So in that way. That means they are also offering Vishnu Prasad only. So in that way. And then so not on the daily Shraddha rites. Only the king can do this, not others, not the Brahmanas, not the Vaishyas, not the Shudras. Only animals suitable for sacrifice should be killed. This should be done only in the forest and only when required. These are all different rules which govern hunting. Only a king, only the animals which are suitable for sacrifice, only in the city or only in the forest, and only when required, only on the occasional days of the Shraddha rites, and only when king wants to eat meat. Not simply for the sake of hunting, you should not, something like that.
Special occasion.
Amavasya. Similarly, Amavasya are on the day of eclipse. Eclipse day also Shraddha rites are performed. Similarly, the jiva is allowed enjoyment of the senses. The jiva is allowed enjoyment of sense objects as much as necessary, but not to the fullest extent. Even the sense gratification also restricted in these 6 categories. It cannot be unrestricted. So that way we have to understand. When the king desiring to eat means the living entity desiring to have sense gratification. So like that. So these are all different rules that apply for king going on hunting and our jiva trying to enjoy the sense objects. So in that way, if at all one wants to have feast, one cannot have feast every day. One need to wait for a festival, and the festival day one can have feast. So that is understanding. या एवं कर्म नियतं विद्वान् कुर्वीत मानवा कर्मणा तेन राजेन्द्र ज्ञानेन न स लिप्यते.
Narad Muni continued to speak to King Prachinabari. My dear king, any person who works according to the directions of the Vedic scriptures does not become involved in fruitive activities.
If one follows all these rules and regulations, one is not bound by karma. That is authorized, regulated way of sense gratification in that way. O king, any learned person who acts according to regulations indicated in the above verse is never contaminated by that action which arises from knowledge. As we read in Bhagavad Gita, Yagnashishta Shinashanto Muchante Sarvakil Bishai. When we offer Bhoga to the Lord and we accept the remnants, we are freed from karmic reactions. Same way here, king is going to the forest and hunting the animals on special days and special Shraddha rites days, and then offers to the Pitrus, and then he accepts it. So he is not implicated by the sinful reaction because he's following all the 6 rules. So he is freed from the sinful reaction. If one does not follow, one is obviously bound by the sinful reaction. He is not contaminated by that action arising from knowledge because this action is performing based on the scriptural knowledge. Because since he is following Shastra in knowledge, he is not bound by the activity. Otherwise, what happens? That is mentioned in the next verse.
Gets elevated birth, then it is offered in sacrifice. Does that apply in such kind of sacrifice also when
Yes,
the
yes, it
king
applies.
hunts and
It applies. Just like we hear in the battle, when some warrior is killed in the battle, he will go to Swarga. Bhagavad Gita says, na? What is that? Atova prapsi Swargam jitva mokshase bhayam. Mokshase bhayam. So if you die in the battle, you will go to Swarga and enjoy there. Same way.
Yeah, because there is little mistake also in the mantra chanting or something, then the animal will not get elevated birth, and one who is performing the main yajman of the thing will have to bear the path of killing that animal. That's what we heard. So यहाँ तो ज़्यादा ऐसा कुछ elaborate यज्ञ भी नहीं है. That is why
Hunting is as good as war. Hunting a deer, the king has to work more than the fighting in the war. Fighting in the war, at least the 2 opponents are side by side. One एक दूसरे के सामने सामने. They can shoot arrows aiming at the target. But in hunting, you cannot aim the target. The deer is running very fast. Hunting is more difficult than fighting in the battle.
But in fighting, other person is also having the weapon in the hand. In hunting, the deer
In
doesn't
hunting, the
have
other
any.
person had the opportunity of running. That itself is his weapon.
हाँ तो उतना ही है उसके हाथ में, बाकी तो कुछ नहीं है ना.
That's what. Jitva va bokshise maim. If he runs faster, he can enjoy the earth. That means he can live for few more years. Hatova parasisagam. If he is died in the hunting, he will go to Swarga. Because hunting is also a religious activity in that sense. So, just like in the battlefield, the other person standing there, but he is able to throw the arrows. But here the animal cannot throw the arrows, but it can run away. That is as good as throwing back the arrows, countering the arrows.
At those cases, the animal also can attack, na, sometimes.
Among the animal, there is no sin involved. Animals can hunt as many number of times as they want.
No.
There is no sin involved
I'm
in
saying
that.
when the king hunts the tiger.
Tiger.
So that time the tiger can attack the king.
Yes.
So that is-
Tiger can attack. But here we are not talking about the tiger. We are
and
talking
then
about
that
other
is not
animals.
a kind of animal which can be sacrificed. according
Yes,
to
not
the
tiger, not
scriptures.
tiger. We will get the names of the animals which can be offered in the sacrifice. In one of the words they are there. Ayata karma kurvano mana rodo nibadhyate guna pravaha patito nashta prajno vrajati ada.
Otherwise, a person who acts whimsically falls down due to false prestige. Thus, he becomes involved in the laws of nature, which are composed of the three qualities goodness, passion, and evil. In this way, a living entity becomes devoid of his real intelligence and becomes perpetually lost in the cycle of birth and death. Thus, he goes up and down from microbe in a stool to a high position in the Brahmaloka planet.
If he performs unregulated actions, he then thinks himself the doer and becomes bound by these actions. Falling under the influence of the gunas, he loses his intelligence and sinks down. This translation is similar to the two verses in Bhagavad Gita. One is, Yes Shastra Vidhi Mutsrujya Vartate Kamakarata Nasi Siddhim Avapnoti Na Sukam Na Paramgatim. The second verse is Dhyato Visham Pumsha Sangaste Shupajayate Sangas Sanganjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Bhigavate Krodhat Bhavat Samoha Samohat Vridhivamshama Vridhivamsha Vridhivinasho Buddhinasho Pranashati. So how these two verses combined together are given here in this one verse. If one performs sinful activities disrespecting Shastra, one is bound. And by that, as a result of that, one degrades oneself, falls down, steers down lower to the lower and lower consciousness. So in that way. That is what happens to living entity when we take shelter of ignorance in this material world. Ignoring Shastric injunctions.
Second verse.
Dhyato Visham Pumsha, second chapter. If he breaks the rules because of lack of purity in the Antakarana, he begins to think of himself as the doer. Kartaham, ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. So in that way, he then
Prakriti
becomes bound by the
Kriyamana.
actions. Then he falls under the influence of the gunas and goes downwards. Spiritually speaking, this verse describes the jiva's enjoyment of objects are forbidden by the scriptures, like Dhyato Visham Pumsha. So when one tries to enjoy the forbidden objects by performing such sinful activities, one is degraded to lower and lower modes. So in that way, this is how one falls down. So the understanding is that just like the Puranjana is gone to the forest and hunting the animals, if the hunting is done according to scriptural regulations, it is not a sinful hunting. For us, if the sense gratification is done according to scriptural regulations, that is not sinful. Dharma aviruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshaba. But yes, Shastra with Musruja happens, then we are bound in this material world. In that way. Doing something is not wrong, but doing something by disregarding Shastric injunctions is always wrong. So in that way.
Like if someone does sense gratification within the scriptural injunctions, still it will not help him to progress spiritually. And he will not be entangled in the karma bandhan, but it will not help him to advance spiritually.
No, no, you see, if the king had a desire to eat meat, he had to follow so many rules and regulations. Following these many rules and regulations, how many times he would like to do that activity? Out of desire, he will do one time. So he will do second time also. But by third time, he'll understand that ये अभी इतना endeavor क्यों करने का छोटा चीज के लिए? धीरे धीरे he will give up the idea of enjoying. When something is done in the midst of so many regulations, eventually one will understand that okay बहुत हो गया अभी इतना patience नहीं मेरे पास. That will happen. That is how the Varnashram system is designed. The Varnashram system, the activities are designed in such a way to regulate them. I mean, to develop the detachment by using so many regulations. When someone does not follow so many regulations, then there is no point. I'll give you a simple example. I mean just I thought about it. At least in the past, the understanding is that marriage means entire life they need to live together. It's not like that. There was no concept of divorce in the past. That is the vow they have taken in front of the fire in the marriage. They also performed Saptapadi. Uh, Taking the witness of all the devatas, they took the vow that for the entire life we stay together. Whatever it may be. There may be a lot of difficulty, there may be exploitation, there may be torture or anything. They would tolerate and continue to stay. Even it goes to the extent that when the husband leaves the body, the wife would enter voluntarily sati. She would do sati. That was the respect they gave to the vow. But now what's happening is entirely different. Because we are following Shastra with Visruja. No one cares for Shastra. What promise? No problem. I want marriage certificate only. Now the people are more oriented towards getting marriage certificate than performing the samskara properly. And also they say, yeah, no problem. If we don't gel together, we'll take divorce and I get married to somebody else again, go on. So things are happening like that because we are taking shelter of this Shastra with Musruja. We are not following Shastra. That is the problem. Srila Prabhupada quotes many verses in the entire. This is a big purport. So why and how and when we actually don't follow Shastra? Krishna Buli Bhogavancha Kori. So that like that to that extent Prabhupada actually mentions so many places, and he also said that Maya Mukta Jivera Nahi Swata Krishna Jnan Jivera Krupaya Koile Krishna Veda Puran. So because we are all submerged by Maya, we don't know how to understand about ourselves and Supreme Lord. Out of compassion, the Supreme Lord sent forth the Vedic literatures, the Acharyas. Sometimes he himself comes in order to deliver us. Krishna Buli Sei Jiva Anadi Bairmuka Atayeva Mayatare Deya Samsara Duka. From time memorial, forgetting Krishna, we have taken shelter of Maya and we are bound in this samsara. So in order to deliver us, Lord gives us Veda Purana and Acharyas, and he himself comes in the various avatars. It is all his compassion upon us to take us back home, Godhead. So in that way. Any questions online? अत्र निर्भिन्न गात्राणां चित्रवाजै शिलीमुखै विप्लवोऽभूत् दुःखितानां दुस्सह करुणात्मना.
When King Puranjana was hunting in this way, many animals within the forest lost their lives with great pain, being pierced by the sharp arrowheads. Upon seeing these devastating, ghastly activities performed by the king, all the people who were merciful by nature became very unhappy. Such merciful persons could not tolerate seeing all this killing.
Hmm. So in the previous verses, it is mentioned that what kind of hunting is permitted, what kind of hunting is not permitted, which is the binds one, which does not bind one. So now the question is, what Puranjana did, which particular uh, path he followed, whether Puranjana did righteous hunting or unrighteous hunting. That is answered now. This killing of animals by Puranjana is indicated in this verse. This killing of animals who suffered with limbs pierced by his feathered arrows in the forest was unbearable for those with compassion. Narada Muni, as an observer, telling to Puranjana, as telling to Prachana Bari that the Puranjana had gone to forest and he shooted so many arrows at so many animals, and all the animals were pierced by the arrows, and he was not caring them for offering also. He just came here to hunt. Yeah, eventually they will be killed, but hunting only. He wanted to get the experience of hunting the animal. In the previous verse, it said that hunting can be allowed for the king if at all they want to have meat, and that too only on the Amavasya day, and that too only he has to hunt himself, and so many other regulations are there. Only few animals, not all the animals. But here he seems to be threw arrows at all the animals whichever come across. Hunting is also not recommended for those animals which cannot run faster. That is also one instruction. So Narada Muni is telling that after discussing a side issue, the story continues. The killing by arrows was unbearable. Narada Muni says that what Puranjana is doing, it is very unbearable sight. The animals are going through a lot of pain. The hint of Narada is committing sin, such as violence by the senses, filled with various faults, is intolerable for persons like us with compassion. Therefore, you are being informed. Narada Muni is specifically telling this particular incident to Puranjana because Puranjana was also killing animal after animal in the plea of offering them to sacrifice. He was performing so many sacrifices one after the other, so by such a way that the entire surface of the earth is occupied by the kusha grass mats. Prachinabari. Here Puranjana is simply throwing arrows at the animals and not offering them into the sacrifice. Actually, the king supposed to offer hunt only those many animals which he can offer in sacrifice and he can eat. He should not do more than necessary. How much a person can eat? That much only they should hunt. They cannot hunt unrestrictedly. That's what we said, na? When performance of yajna is required, but not continuous performance of yajna. As much as needed, it should be performed. Even that was the case with Prithu Maharaj also. For the kingdom to become prosperous, few yajnas could have been sufficient. But he wanted to do 100. That's why Brahma said 100 is not required. आपको जरूरत नहीं. हाँ हाँ बहुत ज्यादा है. हाँ बस उतना काफी है. हाँ उतना काफी है. हाँ yes, that is true. But he was hunting so many animals just like Prachina Bari was performing so many sacrifices. This is like 101 correlation. And Narada Muni is saying that people like us, is including Puranjana also, in order to convey the message, people like us who are full of compassion cannot tolerate this kind of hunting. Indirectly telling that, my dear Prachina Bari, you should become compassionate on the animals. You cannot hunt unrestrictedly. So that is the understanding.
Whether this hunting story has been made to Only the
It is allegorical story. It is a kalpitam. It is a kalpitam.
To stop the killing of
To
animals.
stop the animal killing. Yes. Excessive offering of the animals in sacrifice is also a sinful activity, like what Puranjana is doing here.
तो ऑफर ही नहीं कर रहा है तो
It is not offering only. Of course, even though you may think that he is offering also, but इतना नहीं offer करने का. एक offer करो बस काफी. एक if the king is followed by so much entourage, if there are 100 people, whatever record for 100 people, that much only you should offer, not more than that.
अच्छा वो सब के लिए भी काफी हो जाएगा.
If they are accompanied, they also need food in that sense. What all the animals he hunted? Sheshan, Varahan, Mahishan, Gavayan, Durushalyakan, Medyan, Anyamsha Vividan, Vinignan, Sharamam, Adyagat.
In this way, King Puranjana killed many animals, including rabbits, boars, buffalo, bison, black deer, porcupines, and other game animals. After killing and killing, the king became very tired.
Yeah. After killing rabbits, Sheshan means rabbits, boars, Varahan, buffaloes, Mahishan, wild cows, Gavayan, antelopes, Ruru animals, porcupines, Shalakans, which are suitable for sacrifice. Anyamsha, Vividan, Medyan, he become tired. All these animals are suitable for sacrifice. It seems that he hunted animals which are suitable for sacrifice. But he is hunting more and more number of animals, more than required. He followed one instruction, but he did not follow other instructions. So from this verse, it's Annamsha Vividan Medyan. Medyan means those which are suitable for the sacrifice.
Game animals.
Sorry?
Other game animals. Translation.
Game animals means maybe that
The hunting is
hunting.
considered as game and उसमें कर सकते वैसे वाला.
I don't know. Anyamsha Vividan. Others, Cha and Vividam, various Vinignan killing. But Prabhupada adds in the purport only. It's not there in the word to word meaning also. Other game animals means hunting is like a game exercise. So in that way you can take. He became tired. After hunting so many different animals which can be offered in the sacrifice, he became tired. That indicates that Jiva with some tendencies of dharma by good fortune may repent after committing sins for some time. After hunting, when the king felt that I am tired, now I cannot do anymore. That means after performing sinful activities, the dharmic tendency will come forward and tell the jiva, बहुत हो गया, रोकोएगा, आगे जाओ मत. So it's like that. So by some good fortune, by which some tendencies of dharma coming forward, jiva repents for committing the sins. So it's like that. Initially he was enthusiastic to do sinful activity, but after performing few sinful activities, then he realizes, what am I doing? I am performing sinful activities. Then he starts repenting for that. So that is understanding. That is like the king becoming tired of his hunting. When he becomes tired, he will not do any more hunting. He'll stop there. So like that.
Sin by senses. That is killing.
Yes. Doing killing means going to hunt means going to sinful activities.
For own sense.
For own sense gratification.
All these animals mentioned are
Sense objects.
No. Shashank and Varahan, all that, na? That is accepted by the scriptures to be hunted. All these are those animals.
See,
because it is
rabbits. You see, rabbits can run faster. Boars also can run faster. The forest buffaloes also can run faster. And wild cows also run faster. Antelopes, Ruru animals also run faster. Ruru animals are basically deers. There are some white deers, there are some black deers. They are called antelopes, Ruru animals. And porcupines, they also run faster.
Without taking scriptural injunctions into consideration. That is why I was asking that whether all these animals.
Yes, yes. All these which are suitable for sacrifice. Other animals are all suitable for animal sacrifices. These are all suitable for sacrifices. In that way they offer. So he felt tired, so he stopped hunting. That means after performing some sinful activities, by good fortune, a jiva realizes that I am doing sin, I should stop immediately. The jiva stops. Tata kshutrut parishranto nivritto gruhameviyan krita snano chitahara samvishesha gataklama.
After this, the king, very much fatigued, hungry, and thirsty, returned to his royal palace. After returning, he took a bath and had a appropriate dinner. Then he took rest and thus became freed from all restlessness.
Yeah, here it says, then exhausted from hunger and thirst, he gave up hunting and returned home. He took bath, ate proper food, and being refreshed, took rest. Puranjana, after hunting for sufficient time, he returned home. Exhausted from hunger and thirst means that he was troubled on remembering his sinful activities. The king, having gone to forest, having hunted, he felt hunger and thirst. That means he became tired and returned home, took bath and took food and water. That means when a person goes for performing sinful activities, after performing a couple of sinful activities, remembering that one should not perform sinful activities, one returns to one's normal consciousness. So in that way, he then gave up his sinful acts. He then returned home, giving up sinful acts and establishing himself in the rules of dharma. Returning home means re-establishing oneself in the rules of dharma, proper code of conduct. He took his bath means he called brahmanas and had them perform atonements for him. From the karma yoga point of view, when a person performs sinful activity, they immediately perform atonement for that in order to become free from the sinful reactions. It is said that he took suitable food. That means he gave up meat and liquor. Though he went for hunting, there are so many animals flesh, but he did not eat that. When he realized that no, I shouldn't, he came home and he ate normal rice dal sabji chapati only.
और भी पाप लगेगा ना खाने के लिए अगर
That's what, na. That's why it is sinful activity. He has not gone for hunting to eat meat. That desire was not there.
killing ही करना
He थोड़ा kill करने का बस. So इसलिए he took rest. He was somewhat became tranquil, peace, calm, and steady. Previously, his mind he was agitated with a desire to perform sin, but after performing sin, he realized that I made a mistake. I should not have done like this. So he becomes sort of calm, quiet, and peaceful. That is taking rest.
So in this example, this shloka what we are saying his intense desire to perform hunting means perform sin was governed by mind.
No, it is actually governed by tamoguna. Tamoguna impelled him
Mind
to do that.
already-
From our point of view, mind null we can say, but basically
And
tamoguna. When
how
tamoguna overpowers one's sattva and rajas, the person desires to perform sinful activities. After performing sinful activities, again the sattva guna comes above, like as we see in the 14th chapter, the gunas take prominence. When sattva guna comes above, then it says that, "Hey, kya kar rahe aap? इतना
That's
ही
what I'm
करने का.
saying, whatever activities one performs, it will be in some of the other guna, either of the three, right?
Yes, yes.
So that will be going on, but still the order dene wala to mind hai na, as per what we discussed just few time back. That mind will order, and now when the intelligence takes over, no, you are done wrong thing and you should atone for it, and you should not do this. That is a function of intelligence.
No, no. When he went to the forest also, there was a chariot driver. Driver was there, na? Intelligence. That intelligence is like the another woman. That is not Puranjani. Puranjani is dharmic intelligence. The driver which drove the chariot to the forest is some other woman.
So
Is
that
not the same woman.
intelligence propelled him.
Ah. So the intelligence which is endowed with Sattva-guna, Rajoguna is Puranjani. The intelligence endowed with Tamoguna is some other woman. So he went to forest with some other woman. So in that way. But he came home now. He returned home. Atmanam arhayam chakre धूपालेपासृगादिभिः साधु अलङ्कृत सर्वांगो महिष्याम् आददे मनः.
This king Puranjana decorated his body with suitable ornaments. He also smeared scented sandalwood pulps over his body and put on flower garlands. In this way, he became completely refreshed. After this, he began to search out his queen.
He worshipped himself. Atmanam arhayam chakre. He worshipped himself means he decorated himself with incense, ointments, and garland.
Your glasses and this room only.
5 minutes later. He decorated himself with incense, ointments, and garlands. So nowadays people wear different variety of costumes and all other things, but in the past they would wear garlands, ointments, and incense. Dhupa, lepa, srug, adibi. Ointment means lepa, like chandan lepa. We apply chandan during chandan yatra. So that is. And dhupa is the entire room is having incense sticks. And srug means the garland on the neck. With well-groomed body, he then remembered his queen. So he came home, took bath, had food, took some rest, and got up and decorated himself nicely. And then he wanted to see his queen. Honoring devotees, sages, and wise men, he purified internally by hearing various instructions on dharma and knowledge. In the previous verse, we saw that he took his bath means he called Brahmanas and had them perform atonement. Taking bath is analogous to performing atonement rites by the Brahmanas. And then taking suitable food means giving up bad food, giving up the bad intentions. And taking rest means becoming steady without getting agitated. And continuing a step further. After atonement has been performed, then he gave gifts to the Brahmanas who performed atonement. Then he heard good words of wisdom from the Brahmanas. What to do, what not to do. The Brahmanas will say after performing atonement, they say that, oh my dear king, somehow or other by something you perform this sinful activity, but don't do it again. It is not good for you. In the future, it will cause so much trouble like that. So he heard from the Brahmanas and various instructions of dharma and jnana. What to do, what not to do, when to do, when not to do, how not to do. Because this time he did hunting unrestrictedly. The Brahmanas might have said that, no, don't do hunting like this. You should do hunting only on Amavasya day, only limited animals, not unrestrictedly like that. He heard some words of wisdom from the Brahmanas, whom he offered respects and offered charity, etc., etc. when internally he was completely attached to the rules of the scriptures, having heard from the Brahmanas, he is determined to practice dharma now on. Somehow or other he was practicing dharma till now, but today somehow in the morning he was bewildered and he performed adharma. But after hearing from the Brahmanas, he is again determined to practice dharma. That is returning to his previous condition. Decorating himself with all the incense, ointments, and garlands and grooming the body, that is coming back to the previous condition. Then he remembered his intelligence fixed in dharma. Then he remembered his wife, which directed him in the proper direction. Because till now, for the many years after their marriage, he was performing all the activities religiously only. He never performed sinful activity. But today, somehow or other, giving up his wife, he performed sinful activity. After hearing from the Brahmanas that he should not do sinful activity, then he remembered his wife that my wife was actually directing me all these days in proper religious way. But today I have given her up. That's why I performed sinful activity. So in that way.
But what is that somehow or other? Like what exactly governs
That
or what happens because of that he slips into tamas, like
becoming proud. That is clearly mentioned.
sometimes
He became proud that, not false proud. He became proud.
falls to pride and then,
He became proud that I am doing everything pakka. I am the doer. I'm the best person. No one can follow like me, something like that. That pride attracts tamoguna. In that tamoguna, one performs sinful activity. So in that way. So this is the story of Puranjana. So leaving behind his dharmic intelligence, taking shelter of adharmic intelligence, he performed sinful activity, but eventually realized and he came back to his senses after performing atonement, after hearing the dharmic instructions from those brahmanas. He is determined to perform dharmic activities hereafter. Then he remembered his wife who was directing him in the dharmic lifestyle all these days. So that was the story. Then the rest of the chapter talks about he goes to the wife and pacifies her. He's saying that no, my dear wife, please forgive me that I have gone leaving you behind. I will never ever go again leaving you behind. So that's what he will pacify his wife later on. So we'll continue from 13th verse next week. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Hare Krishna.
No, Prabhuji, it's fine.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll stop here for today. I'll continue. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय.